Is it too early to say that that was a performance worthy of champions this year? Chelsea traveled to the King Power Stadium and emerged 3-0 winners over Leicester. Let's get into it.
And blue is the colour. SCN! Drogba! Lampard! That could be the championship!
Greetings! Welcome back to Couch Critic with me, Dennis P. And for those of you that don't know, this is another Chelsea match review, but more specifically, a tactical synopsis of Chelsea's performance at the King Power Stadium against Leicester. But before we get into all that, I do need to let you guys know that I do have a sponsor for this show. They go by the name of Major League Socks. And fellas, trust me, if you ever want to walk in the footsteps of greatness, you know what to do. Hit them up. The link will be in the description. Okay, so Chelsea traveled away to Leicester, early kickoff after an international break, and emerged 3-0 winners. Goal scorers, Antonio Rudiger, sign him up. That's his nickname right now. Just sign him up, man. It's time. Let's get it done. Then we had N'Golo Kante, a left-footed strike from outside of the box. Who would have saw that coming? And then to finish us off, it's Captain America, number 3. Chelsea win 3-0. In this match review, we're going to be looking at Chelsea's decision-making in the final third, their final third passing. We're also going to look at our defense, but most specifically Thiago Silva and how important he is to this Chelsea setup right now. But I really do want to touch on and start with Thomas Tuchel, because I really do think that there's something to be said there about what this guy's been doing at Chelsea. Now, we can deal with the nuts and bolts of things and talk about how the inverted wingbacks have been the difference in Chelsea's attack this year. We can talk about the relentless press that just keeps teams on their back heels. We can talk about the tempo that we're playing at. We can talk about a whole plethora of things, the amount of goals Chelsea's getting from all over the pitch. But why deal with the branches when you can deal with the roots? And this is Thomas Tuchel. This guy has come in, I'm talking from day one, and knew exactly what he wanted to do with this Chelsea squad. It almost feels as though it was like predetermined that he was going to come in and take over the squad at some point, because he just got it spot on from day one. He knew what he wanted to do. He knew he had the personnel for it. Got the likes of Rudiger, Alonso, Jorginho, Azpilicueta, Callum Hudson-Odoi, all singing from the same hymn book and coaxing great performances out of these guys week in, week out. And this is not something you can take lightly when you come into a new squad, and you immediately are able to assess the strengths and weaknesses of the squad, reassemble them, rejig their formation. Thomas Tuchel has gotten what is predominantly considered a defensive setup, a 3-4-3, looking like it is the most potent offense in the Premier League right now. And it's not by accident. He understands who he has in the pitch. You can see our wingbacks aren't really wingbacks anymore. I'm not the only one that thinks that. I'm sure that they're playing more like midfielders. You see the likes of Chilwell running into the box, playing almost like a center forward at times. You see Reece James come in the middle and like connecting with the midfielders, stitching passes together, and also getting on the end of things, his box presence and whatnot. He's been phenomenal all season. And all of this is just down to the tutelage of Thomas Tuchel. He's devised a system of play that exalts the strengths of the squad and minimize the weaknesses and mask them in some ways. And that's not where it ends there. You can look at his man management and look at like the likes of all these guys that he's got playing at a high level just based on the fact that they want to impress the manager. They want to perform well. We're talking about the likes of Christensen. We're looking at even Alonso. Chilwell's come back into form right now. You know, we saw Ziyech today have a remontada type performance where he's coming in and like stitching together passing moves and looking really aggressive in the attacking third. You know, Pulisic has come in and done the same, you know. So all of these performances that were like a little like iffy, you know, even like 2, 3, 4 weeks ago, are now, you know, you're starting to find the form and rhythm of the squad come in. And like, I think it has everything to do with Thomas Tuchel, the fact that he rotates the squad all the time. We never, ever know what that starting lineup's going to be. I probably got one right the entire year, and it's because this guy trusts the entire squad, 1 to 23, and he uses them all the time. So you can never really tell what lineup's going to play. And when whoever does come into the game, you know that they're going to give him a top level of performance, because he's assembled a squad right now that all want to play for him, all enjoy playing football under Thomas Tuchel, all enjoy their position, all enjoy, the application on the pitch. And we're starting to also see that the squad is starting to get on the same wavelength now too. You saw Jorginho, put his head up and just hit the one-time passes into space and found Conte into space. You saw him do the same with Chilwell, who almost scored as well. And this is just wavelength. These are guys that are just now, starting to understand what each other are doing on the pitch. And, it's starting to come together. There's a cohesion in the squad. And I think that it's all coming down to the manager. The fact that he has given everyone the opportunity to impress him. And if they come in and do well, they will play again. If they don't, they'll be taken out of the line of fire for a while. But that doesn't mean that's the end. They will come back in. His man management has been impeccable. And then let's not even to speak about his training and his technical ability. Like, how many wrinkles have we seen from this Chelsea side so far? We've seen the 3-5-2 where we had the three midfielders with Kovacic, Jorginho, and Conte, with Ruben coming in, and maybe that didn't work so well. That was probably the game that we saw Man City, and that didn't work so well. Of course, we had some injuries that game as well, but regardless, it didn't work. We've also seen the 3-4-3 with 2 8s, where you have Kovacic and Ruben Loftus-Cheek against Southampton, and that worked to a plum. It was perfection. You now seeing the inverted wing backs, where we see more box presence from the likes of Reece James and Chilwell, and then the list goes on and on. We're still seeing variations within this system, all down to the tactical nous of Thomas Tuchel. And while we're not really attacking the final third with like precision and efficiency that we you would normally love to see with the amount of possession and like opportunities that we're creating, let's not forget this guy hasn't even been here for a year yet. And like beyond that, we haven't even really had a full preseason, a training camp where, he can actually really get his methods, instilled in all, the entire squad. We're basically just relying on his ability to communicate and get his message across really quickly. But if he has a chance to just seed in these ideas like we're seeing now with the inverted wingbacks, seeing it over and over again, we're starting to see a side that is taking on the personality of the manager and basically playing at an extremely high level. And, Thomas Tuchel he's quickly becoming one of my favorite managers to watch in world football right now. The way that he's like tweaking these little things here and there, calling on men from the depths of wherever and bringing them in and them all playing for him. Like, that's exactly what you want from your manager, and that's what he's giving us on a week-to-week basis. Now, admittedly, I do have a propensity of focusing mostly on our midfielders and our attackers, and I don't really spend a lot of time talking about the incredible displays that we've been seeing from our defenders this year. And it's been unreal. Like, we're talking about Rudiger. Rudiger's been one of the best defenders in world football right now, on form right now. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that he's playing next to a guy who, man, I don't even know if I have enough superlatives to describe what Thiago Silva means to the squad right now. And I think everything that happened in this Leicester game today was started by him. Everything good that happened started by him. And not because he was, intrinsic in putting and playing that splitting pass to get us in behind and whatnot. He did do that on more than a few occasions, but that's not what it was. It was just his composure and poise and his confidence that, the rest of the squad just ended up taking on and feeding on. And it was just infectious. You can tell that the guys were really feeding off his energy and his composure, his vibe. And it was just resonating with everyone throughout the squad. You saw Trev Chalobah get forward with the confidence, knowing that he had a Rolls Royce in behind him to look after anything that got, that needed to get flushed out. You saw the passes that he was making infield to Jorginho was just so perfect. Gave Jorginho the right amount of time and space to turn and look for another pass, or give it back and whatnot. It was just the energy and the confidence that he exuded on the ball was just rippled right through the squad. And you saw the passes into Mason Mount when he got on the half turn and turned. Those again were just perfectly in the slot. And then defensively, anytime we got ourselves into a little bit of trouble, it didn't happen very often, he was there to clean it up as well. You saw a mistake made I think by Jorginho, one pass was wayward, and then, we were right back in. I think Rudiger was trying to tackle, I think, Vardy. And, Thiago Silva is there again to just nonchalantly clean it up like it was nothing. This is what it means to have a real boss center back. And this is what I was talking about. Like, traditionally, I thought that what we wanted was somebody that has a more physical presence, a guy that was more imposing and just like, John Terry type. But like, Thiago Silva is just so silky and composed on the ball. His ability to boss is using more his guile, his mind, and his ball playing ability to just dominate matches. And again, today was just another example of that. If you look at any of his all of his touches today, you wouldn't see any one that would stand out as, just, oh my God, that's just brilliant. But the calm, just the complete package of them, when you looked at what he was doing today and how he was dictating from that back line, how he was controlling the tempo from back there, how he was making everyone else's job on the pitch so much easier. Yeah, it's just, that's what it means to be world class, and that's what they say, that class is permanent. World class is permanent, man. He has that in droves, and it's starting to seep through and spill over throughout the squad. And this is what, like I said, this is what I mean when you have a boss center back, a guy that can just command the attention of the other players on the pitch, command a back line. Everyone just falls into place after that. And I mean, no secret, he was my man of the match. I mean, you could look at this Chelsea squad and you see so many great performances coming in now, and week after week from a whole host of different players. But this particular performance from Thiago Silva is what the squad needed to see coming back from an international break. Early kickoff. Who do you need on the pitch? You need your leaders. You need your guys that have been through this, hundreds of times before, and just understand how you have to play, what tempo you have to set to win these types of games. And I think that from Thiago Silva to Jorginho to Conte, we felt that there's a real verve and energy throughout the squad, and we played at a tempo that Leicester just ultimately could not live with, being the home team at that too. So, again, Thiago Silva, my man of the match, and I don't think that and many people can really, argue with that selection. Now, with that said, I wouldn't say it was a flawless performance. I do think that Chelsea in the final third have a lot of things to work on, their decision making, and, just trying to find, being unselfish and utilizing your teammates a little bit more. This is a very, very young attack that we assembled today with the likes of Reece James, Chilwell, Havertz, Mount, Cho. All these guys are very young and still learning their football, still trying to figure out what it means to come back from an international break and, hit the ground running, play with the right sort of verve and energy. And, it's just a decision making. I found we got into so many good positions throughout the match, and when we get into the final third, it just breaks down for either lack of understanding or just immaturity. Sometimes you see guys on the ball and they have their head down, they're not looking around to see who's available to them, and the attack dies down there, or they take a poor decision, shoot when they could have passed, play in Reece James or something like that, who's in incredible form. This just happened time and time again in the first half in particular, where you thought Chelsea were going to really just run away with it, but we had so many opportunities that weren't taken. And when you look at the contrast, the difference between what we got from our defenders, the Rudigers, the Thiago Silvas and whatnot, and then you compare and contrast that with what we got from our attackers, Mason Mount, Kai Havertz and whatnot. You can just see that the maturity and composure that you get from our defenders, we're not getting from our attackers quite yet. There's no leader there. There's not somebody that understands what it takes quite yet. Yes, we did use these same players to win the Champions League. Those same two players that I called upon as not really having a great understanding of what we need to do on the pitch in the final third were the ones that linked up and scored us probably our second biggest goal, in the club's history, to win the Champions League. But there's still a lot of learning that still needs to happen there. And I think that, when we saw the likes of Ziyech come on, and again, I understand Ziyech hasn't really been in the greatest bit of form the season. You know, he started well in the preseason in the Super Cup, got injured, and then, you know, as he's come back into the squad, you haven't really seen, you know, hit any sort of heights that you're like, yes, this guy's a force to be reckoned with again. But I thought that was different today. I thought that he played with a maturity and a hunger and an aggressiveness in that final third that, you know, really warranted another look. He's the kind of guy that, like, of course, you want consistency. He's not 21, he's 27, 28. You know, he's not Kai Havertz, you know, he's not, you know, Callum Hudson-Odoi, he's 20. He's a guy that's, you know, at the ascendancy of his football. But I did think that he put in a good performance, and like when he came on, he made all the difference in that final third, you know, just finding the right passing angles and having his head up and looking for where the next pass needs to go. And, you know, that's just really down to maturity, like his ability to, you know, like when we have a team and we have them, you know, we have this game by the scruff of the neck, don't let go of it. You know, you have to continually drive forward, look for the right passes, and, you know, work as a unit. And until Chelsea can do that in the final third, where we're really starting to, like, you know, understand, get on a wavelength with the other attackers we have on the pitch, and not play selfishly, not, you know, misplaced passes, you know, all of these things, rush when we should be slowing down, you know, slow things down in our mind when we're in that final third, even though the game does speed up there quite a bit. When these things start to happen, I think that Chelsea's going to be a complete squad. You know, it's just that we have a really young attack right now, very, very young. Lukaku's still to come back into it, but even still, I don't know that he's going to make much of a difference in terms of, like, just really commanding that attack, because he's the final ball. He's the guy that gets on the final ball. He's not the guy that's building the attacking moves and playing that pass into him. You know what I mean? So I mean, obviously he can lay it off with the likes of, you know, the Werners and the Havertzes and the Mounts and stuff like that. But overall, the final third decision making is, we need to have a veteran head in there, somebody that just really understands what we need to do to really hurt teams down there. And, you know, right now it's a work in progress. We're still not really seeing that sort of like cohesion and understanding, but I do think that, like, we have a young attack, as I've said probably like 4 or 5 times right now. But once they start getting on that wavelength and understand what Thomas Tuchel wants in the final third, and they slow things down and start, you know, executing those like final balls into our, you know, our finishers, I think we're gonna have a beautiful team, man. Like, we already see our midfield is humming, you know, like Ruben Loftus-Cheek, Jorginho, Kante, Kovacic when he's healthy. Like, we can play any of those 4 and feel confident that we can get the result. Our back 3, you know, any of those guys, you know, Christensen didn't play today. You know, he could have easily played. Rudiger, Trev Chalova has come in and not played a foot wrong all season. You know, Azpilicueta could play there. We have a plethora of players in these positions that we can depend on and rely on to give us, you know, these, you know, A+ performances. Now it's just getting the attack, and not necessarily the attack as a whole, but just the final third decision making that we need to execute at a higher level in order for Chelsea to reach heights. I'm talking heights, if you know what I mean. But I do think I'm going to wrap it up there. Chelsea go to the King Power Stadium and emerge 3-0 winners. This is a stadium that Rudiger loves to play in. Let's be honest, man. That guy scores every time we go there. I'm pretty sure he got a brace there when we're down 2-0. He came back, and I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure he came back and scored a brace to get us the equalizer. And yeah, he's in incredible form defensively, and a real, you know, what would you call it, roaming defender that, like, gets forward and, like, has confidence on the ball and is making all the right decisions. Sign him up, man. Let's just end all the speculation, please, man. Get this guy under contract, man. He is Chelsea, man. Like, this is part of the fabric of this club right now, man. We have a squad assembled right now that could contend for years to come if we get this right. There's no reason why we should be letting somebody like Rudiger, you know, just go on a free. You know what I mean? Like, I understand that, like, the business of the club is something completely different, and, you know, personal feelings get in the way sometimes. But, like, sign him up, man. Tired of Chelsea getting to the point where we're, like, right at the brink of just really crushing teams, and then, you know, we have a falling out with somebody, and then everything falls away. Like, we saw it before under Antonio Conte. We had this incredible squad assembled, went on a 13-game winning streak, Then all of a sudden he has a falling out with Diego Costa, and we end up with Morata, and then everything falls apart. You know, we win the title with Jose. He falls out with Eva Carnero, and everything falls apart. You know, like it's just I'm just sick of this, man. Like let's get on this run of form. Get a dynasty happening at this club, and let's sign him up, man. Like that's all I'm gonna say. Just sign him up. Let's just get that done, right? You know, what do we got next? We got a big game on Tuesday, and I'm so glad that we were able to take care of Leicester so early and get some guys, you know, fitness. And of course, Jorginho, his knock wasn't very serious. Apparently, he's not gonna miss any time. It was just cramping. So hopefully, this Juventus game we can have a full strength lineup, and you know, see the likes of maybe even Lukaku come back into it. I know he didn't have the greatest game against those guys the first time around, but this is at Stamford Bridge, and it is a must-win game. I don't care. Champions League fixtures, until you are guaranteed guaranteed the knockouts, every game is a must-win. And this is no secret. Like, if we want to at least top the group, we have to win this one. There's no secret there. And if we don't win, you know, it puts a hell of a lot of pressure on that last game against Zenit when the games are coming thick and fast. So, you know, we have to secure that qualification and get that done. And then, of course, we have the calamity that is Man United at the weekend. So, you know, as we speak right now, there is talk that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is about to be given his walking papers, and of course it happens right before we get to play these guys. Always is the case, right? But it shouldn't matter. The form that we're in right now, we should be able to be like taking it to these guys and emerging like strong winners. You know, you can't really account for the likes of you know, Ronaldo. He's an incredible footballer. You know, generational. Fernandes. You know, they got players. They got footballers that can win matches on their own. But I just feel like we have a squad assembled right now that is playing for the manager, that is playing as a unit, and have an understanding right now, developing an understanding that can be devastating match to match. So, you know, long may that continue, man. I'm really looking forward to this Juventus game, and I'm really looking forward to this United game. This is an important part of the season for us. If we can continue to take points, I really do feel like you know, we're in with a very big shout for the title. And who knows, maybe even Champions League if things continue to go well for us. But guys, you know what to do. Keep the blue flag flying high and up the Chelsea.